Hi, I'm Muhammad Hamdan, your host for Money Matters this week, where we're going to talk about the 223% increase in the country's FDI in the first half of this year. I'll see you in a bit. Good evening. With me in the studio is the Executive Director of the Malaysian International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, MICCI, Sean Edward Chia. Welcome to Money Matters, Sean.
Yes, thank you for the invitation.
Sure.
Nice to be here.
Now, a couple of days ago, the government implemented the Langkawi travel bubble, which I personally think bodes well for the country's economic recovery. On September 11th, the finance minister announced that Malaysia registered foreign capital inflows of 7.7 billion ringgit in August, marking the highest monthly net inflow since June 2020. The value also reversed the outflows recorded in the two preceding months. Is this a sign of renewed foreign investor confidence in Malaysia, or is it too early to say?
Well, it's good that the Ministry of International Trade, or MOF, gives out very good credits. Good news is good news. And thankfully for MITI, because decisions to invest is years before, right? And it's great that MITI is able to convince the investors to continue with their investments. That's a good job done by the international trade. But then, one swallow doesn't a summer make, right? It's just a bit too early, you know? It's got to do with sustainable, like what's going to happen in the next 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years. Is the confidence still going to be there? So I would say it's a bit too early.
It's a bit too early, but it's still good news, I would say, considering how FDIs in Malaysia have been doing in the past 1 year, which is not very good. I know it's not just unique to Malaysia. Other countries are also affected because of the pandemic. But the situation in Malaysia particularly probably makes it even more difficult for Malaysia to achieve more FDIs. But these new numbers, I think, is great and positive news.
It's positive news.
Yeah, right. Now, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob is banking on the government's National Recovery Plan, NRP, to attract more foreign investments into the country, saying that Malaysia is now showing better signs of an economic recovery. Do we have what it takes to make Malaysia a premier destination for FDI in the region? Well,
Malaysia has its own little quirks and little positives that we are still a desirable place for FDIs, okay? And in any of the Malaysian plans, there are a few things that you need to have, right? It's good that the Malaysian plan, the 12th Malaysian plan shows ESG, right? Environment, social and governance. That's where it comes into a premier destination for FDIs, okay? Two main things. You have to have an environment.
At least in the Southeast Asian region.
Yes, you have to have a good environment. And one of the environment is got to do with the rule of law. Yeah? How you treat your investors, you know. Your word is your bond, you know. There's no iffy flip-flops, maybe come and see me, case-to-case basis. Recently, the moral policing is some of the issues that is really giving a bit of a scary point about what you can or cannot do. Some of these things do affect how an environment, a pro-business environment for foreign direct investments.
Now, I want to move on and talk a little bit about the Malaysia My Second Home MM2H program. Okay. Now, many, including the MICCI, oppose the new and more stringent rules imposed on the program, which they argue could drive away the much-needed foreign investments in the country. After a flurry of criticism, it was reported that the government is now prepared to re-examine the new rules. If it were up to you, how would you like the rules revised?
Okay, the first thing is governments, we are a sovereign nation, right? So we have every right to change, make our changes if we want to, okay? Yeah, but it's just an execution of how we do it, whether it leaves a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. And I understand that there are some thing about a recalcitrant 8,000 that is abusing the system or something like that. So instead of having a blanket thing like that, they could review that 8,000 so-called abusers if they need to. The existing visa holders, for example, I mean, this shouldn't apply to them because they came on a promise of this, and then now you change the rules, okay? But the new ones that comes in, yes, if you want to do that, can, but are we as attractive anymore? You know, they are our southern neighbors, our northern neighbors, they are all actively trying to attract the same people. So are we sending the right message that, yeah, if they can do, they come, and would you, in 5 years' time, change the rules again? You know, that's the ultimate question.
Right. Earlier this week, Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin said the criteria revision for the program was done to attract quality participants who are genuine and can contribute positively to economic growth, which could hint that the new rules are likely to stay. If this were the case, how do you think this will affect foreign investor confidence and also sentiment in Malaysia?
Yeah, as I say, the sudden change in rules like that without consultation and overnight and affects everyone, it's this noise, you see, because the existing visa holders are singing praises of our conditions for them to come. But if you do changes as drastic as this, and without consultation, or at least some tiered approach of ratcheting up the requirements, then it goes in better. And then for foreign investors who are thinking of coming in, then have some confidence that at least there's some semblance of a plan rollout rather than overnight. You know, I've got something that I can't rely on, right?
So we're going to take a short break now. More with the MICCI Executive Director in just a moment. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on Money Matters as we speak with Sean Edward Chia, Executive Director of Malaysian International Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Sean, vaccination is crucial in helping more businesses to resume operations, especially with full force workforce, which is key to the country's economic recovery. More than half of the country's population are now fully vaccinated. Is the current vaccination rate in Malaysia good enough, or do you think it can be better?
Well, a lot of water has always gone under the bridge, right? Great that the government did listen to us about the private industry vaccination. So the PICAS program, that was great. Selvax came in, it was great. So anyway, whatever is done is done. It's to a state where we can now start to operate. So the vaccination program, okay, there is some hiccups and issues in the beginning. But all we hope is if they are mulling over the third jab, lessons have to be learned. They learn the lessons of how to manage this properly. Okay, that's what we hope for. Okay, we're more orderly than what we were seeing.
That's fair. The Ministry of Health is proposing a national testing policy that requires people, whether vaccinated or not vaccinated, to test themselves for COVID-19 regularly when Malaysia enters the endemic phase. What does this mean to the business community in Malaysia, considering that employers might have to bear additional costs to provide the self-test kits for employees on a regular basis?
Yeah, this is a really an issue, right? First thing is that endemic, right? It becomes like the common flu, right?
Something that we have to live with.
It's something we live with. If the government says that vaccination is the solution for addressing this, then I don't see the reason for this extra testing twice in a month, for every employee. So can you imagine, talking about even 16 ringgit per test kit, twice a month is 32 ringgit, right? 32 ringgit per employee. I have 1,000 employees, that's 32,000 a month. If I got 10,000 like those big guys, factories, 10,000. Can you imagine 320,000 a month? You just kill the business. I don't see the reason why you could do that. Fully vaccinated anyway. The people who turn up for work is fully vaccinated anyway, right? So I think you need to only test if there's suspicion of close contact or they have certain symptoms or something like that. Maybe that's what it is. Not generically, everyone has to do that.
We know that this is still at the proposal stage, and it has not become mandatory right yet. But we know as it is, in certain locations, even though it's not mandatory for people to test themselves for COVID-19, right? But for things like travel bubble, like in Langkawi, you still need to test yourself in order for you to be allowed to travel to Langkawi. Because if you are found to be positive, COVID-19 positive, you'll be sent back, probably not allowed to enter Langkawi or things like that. So this is, in a way, saying that it's already sort of mandatory for people to still, test themselves for COVID-19. So it's already there, Sean.
It's got to do with voluntary. If I go to Langkawi, it's something I volunteer to go, right? But you're coming for work, you're performing a duty to do so.
Right. And
there are already stringent SOPs that you are double vaccinated and stuff like that, right? So it is just like anything else. If you don't feel well, you call in sick, and then you go and see a doctor, right? So I still think that it's an additional burden on the cost. And unless it is, again, paid for by SOXO or something like that. Yeah, okay, then right. Other than that, it's a real burden on businesses, as they are also trying to recover from the shutdown for the last 1.5 years. So it's really a negative on the cost.
Right. The government expects 80% of the nation's adult population to be vaccinated by the end of September this month, and will then declare COVID-19 endemic in October, when the vaccination rate for adult population hits 100%. What are some of the challenges that you see businesses may have to face during the endemic phase?
Yeah, okay. Thank goodness if by October, then all businesses should be open. The major challenge, I would say, is this the so-called SOP, right? MICCI has always advocated that the government shouldn't be in the business of micromanaging businesses. Yeah, the businesses know how to do so. So that's why we have coined something called KISS, KISS. Yeah,
right.
Not that chairman type KISS, but our KISS is keep it simple SOP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, keep it simple SOP, right? Simple. You don't have to tell me I should wear this, wear that, or whatever it is. It's just that as long as my business, I'm able to have vaccinated the staff working there, I can have physical distancing, yeah, and I follow the sanitization and the contact tracing like that, and I should be able to operate, right? You don't have to dictate to me what time can I operate, how many people. It's just ridiculous, right? It's something that we also mentioned that why is there a negative list on businesses? Yeah. What right have you got to say that you can't open, I can't open on the basis of what? You know, the perception that we carry the virus? No. It's just that if we can manage it ourselves, we should be allowed to open. Any business can be allowed to open as long as their staff is, let's say, fully vaccinated. So what's the issue with that? So that's the challenge that the government, I think the minister is going to rationalize that 108 SOPs, 4 phases times 4, you know, it's great if you keep it simple SOPs, KISS.
Keep it simple SOPs.
Yes.
That's very interesting. Now we're going to have to go for another short break. Thoughts on the upcoming 12th Malaysia Plan and 2020 budget after the break. Don't go away. Thanks for joining us as we discuss further on the upcoming 12th Malaysia Plan and Budget 2022. Sean, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob is set to present the 12th Malaysia Plan in Parliament on September 27th, with key issues to be addressed in the next 5 years, including bridging the development gap between the states and areas in the country. Without elaborating, he said that under the 12th MP, basic needs such as water, electricity and internet infrastructure can fully be enjoyed by the people. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, MICC has always pushed for the internet network. I mean, for the last 1.5 years, it's it should be a utility by now. For any Malaysia plan or any plans at all, there are two main ingredients for success of the plan. Yeah, one is meritocracy. Meritocracy will ensure that there's competent people to execute the plans. Yeah, and the second part of it is governance. Governance will keep competent people from becoming negligent people. So without these two, and in the RMK at all, you should mention the reforming of the MACC and all this governance more heavily, because it's only with these two, meritocracy and governance, that any plan will be successful. Otherwise, it will just stay what it is, just a plan.
How would you rate the 11th Malaysia plan?
Like any other plans, it's just a repeat of all these years of the plans, but there is no emphasis on, again, governance and meritocracies. That's how you, otherwise, I mean, you have seen those previous plans. How successful have they been?
Right.
You know, where are they? You know?
What about the upcoming budget 2022 that may be tabled next month?
Okay.
What do you hope to be included in the budget, especially to bolster the business environment in Malaysia for both local and also international companies?
Right. Okay, here's the little trick, okay? You have a government, or rather there's an election coming on.
Right.
All right? So you need to prime towards that. And the government's, the treasury is having a challenge, as you know, and our borrowing levels is very high. Here's a little tip about how you could actually achieve a good election with the least money, okay? It's about business. How well do you, okay, the moment it becomes endemic, there's going to be a pent-up demand. You saw that, Langkawi fully booked,
right.
The waterfalls and stuff like that. There's a pent-up demand. So there's a surge, and you need to ride on this surge. And what we propose is this. It's almost, I wouldn't want to use the word fully as a free-for-all. That means you have to put in an environment, a pro-business environment, where you for a little short and a medium term, okay, you reduce all the restrictions. You let everyone just do business, because people need job. The jobs give them cash.
Right.
And this cash comes from the economy. It's not from Treasury giving out handouts. We do not believe continual giving out handouts is going to be sustainable. Create a job environment. Be pro-business. Things like make it easier and less cost in doing businesses. Imports, exports, free up a lot of restrictions. Not forever, but a defined period, so that there is this economic activities, and the government will definitely get their revenues back through indirect taxes anyway, right? It's about an economy. So that's what I think my members are looking at, a pro-business policy in the budget.
Other than pro-business policy in the budget, what are other things that you wish or the MICCI have on their wish list for the budget 2022? Yeah,
this is exactly what it is. It's a pro-business budget that's going to be there with, again, emphasis on governance, the ESGs, you know, the governance. As long as there's governance, there will be pro-business activities. Yeah, the signal has to be strong,
right,
to the foreign investors to say that, hey, we do not tolerate corruption. We are very pro-business, because it's not about only incentives given to them. It's about the environment. We go by rule of law. You can be assured that if you invest and come here, we will guarantee you that there will not be any changes in policies or anything which is punitive against you guys. You know, we welcome you to do whatever you do. It's just that signal. The communications is not there. It's not there.
What's your outlook on Malaysia's economic growth next year? What are some of the major challenges that we may continue to face while recovering from the pandemic?
Okay, my personal opinion is that it's still a very cautious approach. We still have to wait and see, because again, this government is on a Mexican standoff, right? So we don't know what's really coming in, what's coming out, what's going to happen. And there's been a lot of changes in policies. So I would say that, well, it will still remain cautious unless there is a positive pro-business message that goes out. Yeah, okay, that's what I would see. People will still be cautious. Yeah.
Will we see any new kinds of challenges post the pandemic? Or, okay, let me rephrase this. What are the challenges that we are already facing right now during this pandemic in terms of our business environment in Malaysia? What are some of these challenges that will continue to remain even during the endemic phase? And what are new challenges that we may see during the endemic phase?
Yep. Okay. As I already alluded to you earlier on, some of the challenges we face is this unclear SOPs. Is it going to come in? Is it going to come on or not? And what's going to happen next? So that's where the unclearness comes in, right? The second part of it is that we don't see, again, some encouragement to say, hey, you know, bear with us a bit more. This is what the end of the tunnel looks like. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You can go move forward with all this X dollars, X whatever incentives or X whatever policies that's going to come along the way. It's something we're going to live with because it's going to be either the lambda or the mu or whatever Z or COVID-22 is going to come. And the uncertainty of do we have another lockdown, do we not have another lockdown, and all this funny stuff coming in, that's where the challenges and the new challenges are going to come in. Yeah. So if we can have lessons learned from how we handle, and I think we do already, all businesses by right is sustainable. It does not do something to jeopardize its own business, right? So we already comply. Yeah. So it is not micromanaging us.
Right.
Yeah.
Just one last question before we wrap up the show. What is the MICC opinion of the government's engagement with the business community or the stakeholders when it comes to supporting the country's economic recovery in Malaysia?
Yes, as I say, some of the ministries are very, very good in engagement. They actually sit with us very much and we talk. But there are some that just fires off the hip, you know, that really took us all blindsided, you know. That culture should change, yeah. So it is active engagement in that way that we want and we need it, yeah. Again, credit goes to the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, to which we all, our masters, so to speak, they're doing a very, very good job. We have a direct line on WhatsApp group that, you know, we can trash out a lot of
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Looks like we've come to the end of the program for this week. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. Sean, we really appreciate your time and insights on this program.
Thanks for having us here and listening to some of our vows and our proposals. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Now, and to our viewers, thanks for watching. Do join us again next week, same day, same time, for more money insights that matter. Until then, I'm Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan. Stay safe and take care.